Hey ladies and gents, I hope you're all doing very well. UFL is a brand new football game that is coming to PlayStation and Xbox. They released this trailer which it doesn't give us much to go on gameplay wise, considering the game has been in development for 5 years, but it does look absolutely gorgeous. They held a Q&A session with the community, and that's going to be the primary focus of today's video. The keywords they use here are free to play and fair to play, looking to exploit a gap in the market with those fed up with scripting or balancing mechanics in PES, eFootball and FIFA. It's nice to see they have acquired the license for West Ham, and I've got to admit that London Stadium looks absolutely incredible on the Unreal Engine, and this is in-game footage. So let's run through the Q&A session that they had with the community. So they said, we received tons of positive feedback from you guys regarding the UFL announcement. Thanks a lot for your support and faith in us. We decided to give a little bit more info on the most popular questions we get from you. Check the news feed. So the first question is, what's the release date? They said, we do not share the date as we're still working on it, and it really depends on a number of factors, and we don't want to disappoint you with broken promises. As soon as we're ready, we will tell everyone. We're as impatient to share as you are to hear. This is really good in my opinion. There's no point setting a date to try and work to something, especially in the sort of COVID era we're in right now. And with deadlines, you can never predict them, or it's probably best not to try and predict them because it just sets you up to fail. So with this, in my opinion, this is a very mature approach to say, the game's going to be ready when it's ready. This means that, when it does eventually drop, we'll have a proper game, not a half-baked game where they have to update it and fix it and patch it weeks and months after. They may still have to do that based on further feedback from playtesting, but generally, they don't want to release a broken game, and they don't want to break any promises to us as fans, which is really great to hear. Will there be servers for the Arabic regions? They said, we are looking closely at server locations at the moment. We're collecting data, analyzing the potential number of players for each region, how big is the community, and many other things. This is really interesting to me because it does look like they are going to set up proper dedicated servers, much like FIFA. So it shows that they do have a certain degree of backing to actually pay and service and maintain those servers, which is really, really good. Something that PES or Konami don't even offer. So it's really nice to see that they are actually having dedicated servers, which is going to be predominantly an online game, as we're going to find out in this next question. So they said, are there any offline modes planned, such as career mode? And they said, we're very focused on our core game mode, which is online. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to run properly in order to make the game stable, but UFL will have an offline mode that you can play with friends. Now, this is interesting to me because to me, this states that there isn't going to be a career mode, and if there is, it's going to be very, very late on in development, if at all. So to me, they would have said, yes, there is a career mode coming, but it's going to be, in the future. But here they didn't address it at all. So, this game is purely going to be for the esports and those looking for trying to play a game online. And for me personally, that's a bit disappointing. What about animations? How does the animation system work in the game? We have an internal motion capture studio that works on capturing animations, both in-game and cutscenes. This is one of the most important and complicated parts of football simulation games. Now, it's important that they did actually mention football simulation, so they are going for a more realistic approach by the sound of this. But the only disappointing thing for me here is the internal motion capture studio. Now, obviously we know the latest technology uses these Zen suits, which is, you can play outside, they can capture more data, far more animations, and this seems very sort of backwards for the tech that's coming out. So, maybe they may evolve in the future, but the fact that it's an internal motion capture studio may limit the amount of animations that they can actually get out in comparison to the sort of next gen tech that we're going to be seeing over the next few years. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's a bit of a concern for me personally. Will you be listening to the community? Sure, we already are. And remember, UFL game is the one and only source of information you may and should trust. Stay tuned for more. So that's pretty much it for their Q&A session. And if I do scroll down, they do sort of address some of the fake news out there. So we got this pezfiles.ru saying leaked photos of Ronaldo from the UFL game, and they quite clearly said, hey, these assets are fake. So I did a little digging and came across this guy here, Eugene Nashalov, who is the CEO for Strikers Inc. And he's been answering some of the questions as well. So we've got a question here. Is PC version planned? Don't undermine that market. FIFA on Steam is doing numbers. Please do a Pro Clubs mode. I'm tired of FIFA's monopoly. He goes on to say we're console first, but looking at PC closely, and we don't underestimate that platform, which is good to hear. But obviously Xbox and PlayStation are their focus right now. Can you say it's a simulation game and not arcade? Sure, it's a simulation game. So as we pointed out earlier, when they said about football simulation, it is aiming to be a more realistic gameplay experience. I'm not sure if this was an option, but wouldn't it be best to announce the game once gameplay and big features were shareable? The wait is killing everyone. He goes on to say, many heads, many minds. There are ways to do things. We knew people will get interested, but honestly, we were blown away by the community. We will see in the long run. Currently, we believe the path we've taken is right. Please just tell us one thing. Will the game be faster than FIFA and PES? That's all we want. A fast, responsive football game. And he goes on to reply, you must know that it's all very connection dependent. We're working on it, of course, but sadly there's no magic fix to fix connection issues in such hyper intensive gameplays. I think this guy is referring to the actual pace of the game, saying that PES and FIFA are too slow, which is crazy in my opinion, if that's the case. And he's gone to take that as being all about internet lag and connection speeds. So this is interesting here. He goes, the game is in development for almost 5 years. Why not show us some gameplay? And he answered that by saying, I will elaborate on this a little. We started working on UFL 4.5 years ago, and we started building the team for the game 5 years ago. The team was built from scratch throughout this period. This is part 1. It was quite a quest in which we have successfully completed, so we haven't been a big studio for 5 years, only a part of this time. I'd say around half the time. Remember, we have to cover the path of the other games and teams have already been going through for 20 plus years. We don't want to show things that will look unpolished. We've started with this plan with our teaser and we'll keep to it. We're excited here inside the team and we'll be willing to show stuff. I think we want this even more than you guys do, because we've known we're on a fresh for almost 5 years. Not sure what that means, but here's the tease. The game is already playable. We playtest it internally every day, like literally. Sorry, these types of explanations need a little more text than a tweet, but we will be posting interviews and stuff that will explain things wider. Any of the licenses, we have partner clubs across all major football territories and star footballers on board. We can't disclose details that early though, as they are important parts of our marketing campaign that started only last week. Thanks everyone, and we'll keep in touch. So it's interesting to say that they've got more than just West Ham, so we'll have to wait and see, and they'll probably drip feed that information out to us. Manual controls, we've seen a number of these questions. What's behind the idea? Is that somehow related to that you're afraid of shady mechanics put into control assistance? Please elaborate to give us more data. Cannot find all those tweets, folks. Just shoot here. Read through the thread. We'll look into it. We have lots of pro players, by the way, who work with us, and this thread got us slightly surprised. Fuma is very complex and hard to master, especially keeping in mind gamepad wear, connection delay, and other. I'm really surprised that he's not heard of full manual controls, and to me that shows a little bit of immaturity around football games, which is a bit concerning. Where he said, are you afraid of shady mechanics put into control assistance? I believe there he's referring to balancing and scripting, but to not know what manual controls are is a bit worrying for me personally. I personally would like to see 2 esports tournaments for this game, one for basic controls and the other for full manual. It's fine for me who can spend 3 to 4 hours a night playing football games, but there are people who have like 2 or more jobs, they have kids, maybe only have like 30 minutes to spare in an evening. The last thing they want to do is get good because someone somewhere has a superiority complex and feels the need to flex. It's great that UFL are being so open and engaging with the community. It's a really positive and refreshing take, and I really do wish them all the best. You know, for me, the more football games, the better, as they'll drive each other to create the best game possible, much like how Ronaldo and Messi push each other to the limits that they have. I believe that neither of those players would have got to the level without them pushing each other. So it's really, you know, that competitiveness between football games will hopefully drive a more, well, it's going to drive them to produce a better football game overall, in my opinion. Anyway, that is all from me, ladies and gents. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.